How about going back to my hometown for Christmas? Those words from my husband marked the beginning of it all. It was also the beginning of the end. My name is Aileen, a 35-year-old housewife. I married Arden, my co-worker. Right after getting married, I became pregnant with our beloved daughter, Xmas, and decided to quit my job. Now, our daughter is 6 years old, and we were about to make our first visit to Arden's distant hometown. "Hey, is the food ready yet?" My mother-in-law's voice echoed through the room. Yes, just a little more," I hurriedly responded while bustling around the kitchen, causing my mother-in-law to let out a deep sigh. "You're so slow, Arden. I don't know how you can tolerate such a wife." "Well, other wives are much more active and efficient. It's really frustrating how slow she is." "What did you say? How dare you criticize me while you were lounging around watching TV?" Just as I was about to retort back at my husband, my mother-in-law's words came down on me. "After you finish preparing breakfast, you need to clean the garden next, then organize the storeroom, and after that, tidy up the shed outside." It's supposed to be Christmas, isn't it? Then why am I being treated like a servant? And my husband, as lazy as ever, infuriates me. By the time I managed to finish the assigned tasks, I was completely exhausted and unable to move. I clasped onto the living room couch. "I'm so tired." "Who said you could rest? Hurry up and make lunch." Without a moment's delay, my mother-in-law issued another command. "I've been working all this time. Can't I rest for a bit?" "A wife is like a housemaid. You think you can freeload without working? Get to work." "But it's just..." Arden's hometown is in the countryside. Living in the countryside means holding on to old traditions for better or worse. A wife becomes part of the family, and traditional values seem to linger. But that doesn't mean wives were treated this way in the past. "Can you help me for a moment?" "Not really." A rather dismissive response came from my husband, preoccupied with his meal. He does nothing at home, and at his parents' house he does even less, just drinks and idles around. I feel like he hasn't moved from his spot since morning. "Hey, I want to go buy some groceries." Can't you go by yourself?" "Please, just help me." The local supermarket in the countryside is far away. My husband, who has driver's license, had already started drinking in the morning, while I don't have one. That means I have no choice but to walk there, which takes about 30 minutes one way. Doing it alone is tough, so I asked him at least to carry the bags, but he furrowed his brows in response. "No way." Once again, an immediate refusal. My husband just kept shaking his beer can. "I'm busy right now." What's with the robotic talk? "I'm busy." So what? "I can't go." In other words, you don't want to go. Is that it? "You useless person." My mother-in-law shouted from behind, which irritated me. "Is dinner not ready yet?" Seriously. I finally made it back. Walking 30 minutes one way was truly exhausting, especially with both hands full of bags. I arrived at my in-laws' house feeling dizzy and worn out. I dropped the bags and plopped down, sighing heavily. And then it happened. "Hurry up! Jeez, you are as slow as your mother." "I'm sorry." My mother-in-law's angry voice and my daughter's apologetic voice echoed. That's when it hit me. At the moment, when my energy was depleted, the reserve energy of a robot kicked in. As if forgetting all the fatigue until then, I swiftly stood up with momentum and dashed toward the source of the voice. I tramped over my still lounging husband as I hurried to reach them at my feet. Oh, I thought I heard a pitiful voice, but for now I ignored it. I headed towards the kitchen where the voice came from, and there, what I saw was, "What are you doing?" My mother-in-law and daughter looked at me in surprise. "Oh, Mom!" Well, so you finally came back." When my daughter saw my face, her eyes lit up with tears. As I witnessed this, my mother-in-law sat back in her chair with a sore expression. "What are you doing?" In response to my question, my mother-in-law snorted. Looking closer, my daughter was holding tongs in her hands. "Why?" "Agnes, what are you doing?" In response to my question, my daughter stumbled through an explanation. Well, Grandma said she's hungry, so I should prepare the turkey." "Honestly, you can't even cook a turkey. You're a useless grandchild. What are you teaching her, like mother, like daughter? I wonder if she's really my son's child." Even I couldn't tolerate being spoken to about my daughter like that. She's only 6 years old, you know? Asking such a young child to cook a turkey. Can't you handle something like that? What a thing to ask of your own grandchild. My mother-in-law's face turned red as she screeched. "Oh, my, what are you saying? Are you planning to make this old lady work? What a terrifying woman! Listen, a daughter-in-law is like a housekeeper. It's only natural for her to work silently, and the daughter of a housekeeper is also a housekeeper." "A housekeeper?" "Well, who do you think is supporting your livelihood? You're living off the money your son is working hard for. If you respect your son and me, it's only natural, instead of complaining, work as a housekeeper." Shouting like that, my mother-in-law left the kitchen. I couldn't say anything in response to her fierce demeanor. I was too dumbfounded to find any words. My mother-in-law went to the living room where my husband was. I could hear their conversation. "Your wife is useless, isn't she? She's even worse than a housekeeper." Now, our daughter will be more useful once she grows up a bit. Let's be patient for a little longer." "You're going through hardships too, aren't you? If you want, you can come back home." "Divorce? Well, that's an opinion, but a housekeeper is still necessary, right? In fact, why don't we live together? I've been tired of my current job anyway. Let her take over my work while I enjoy a peaceful life in the countryside." What did my husband just say? I was horrified by his words. "Oh, that sounds good." As my mother-in-law agreed, I stood frozen in place. As I tightly clenched my fist, I suddenly felt warm as another hand gently overlapped mine. "What's up?" "Agnes, do you like Daddy?" She couldn't answer immediately. That's understandable. My husband is indifferent to parenting. When he comes home from work, he barely talks to me or our daughter. He either lounges on the sofa watching TV or tinkers with his phone. On weekends, he goes out for drinks and comes home late. Since the COVID outbreak, when going out for drinks became difficult, he's been drinking at home until the early hours of the morning. The next day is always the same hangover routine. During holidays, he either lounges around the house or goes out with friends. We rarely go out as a family. Come to think of it, when was the last time we went out together? It has been months or maybe years since our last family trip. I'm sure my husband doesn't even know which kindergarten our daughter goes to. He doesn't know what she likes or dislikes. He knows nothing. He doesn't even show interest in what she wants to be when she grows up. Does he even know she'll be starting elementary school next year? My daughter can't say she loves a father like that. It's only natural. So I asked again, then, do you like Grandma? I don't like her. That was an immediate response. I couldn't help but smile really. Well, if she gets scolded like that, just as I thought that, my daughter said something unexpected. Because Grandma bullies Mom. It's Christmas, but Mom can't relax at all, right? She keeps telling you to do this and do that. Grandma's mean. Children observe more than they appear to. Well, it's understandable when she's given orders so confidently. With a worried smile, I asked her an important question. Agnes, do you want to live with Grandma? My daughter shook her head. Do we need Daddy? No. It was a fantastic immediate response, and I made up my mind. The next day, I went out with my daughter in the morning. By the time we returned to my in-laws' house, it was already night. As we entered the house, my mother-in-law and husband were waiting with a frustrated look. Finally back. What were you doing? Just a little something. I evaded my husband's question. Seeing me like that, my mother-in-law speaks up. Young wives these days. That's why. Fine. You're officially the housekeeper now. Housekeeper, is the coffee ready? My mother-in-law, always acting like a commander. I silently served coffee to the two of them. My husband reaches for the coffee cup, but I swiftly snatched the coffee cup away from him. Huh? What the hell? My husband looks bewildered, and then I poured the coffee all over his head. Wow! What are you doing? Don't worry, it's already cooled down. That's not the point. Hey, stop it! After thoroughly drenching him with coffee, I deftly dodged his reaching hand and placed the coffee cup gently on the table. Hey, you! How dare you as a housekeeper? My mother-in-law's eyes widened in anger, but I fiercely retorted. Shut up. I'm not your housekeeper or anything like that, I replied vehemently. As my mother-in-law stands up to shout, I interrupt her. What? Let me enlighten you since you don't know. I am not a housekeeper. With relentless force, I continue to speak. My mother-in-law, unable to come up with a response, is left speechless. I glare at my mother-in-law, who looks as if she's about to burst, and lean in closer to her face. Ah! My mother-in-law lets out a horrified scream. Ignoring her, I get closer to her face. The distance between us is 5 inches. Listen carefully. There's no such system in the world that allows you to treat your daughter-in-law however you want. I will protect my family, but I have no intention of becoming their servant. What? I'm your husband's mother. I'm family, so protect me and obey my orders. Is your head okay? If I were a real housekeeper, we wouldn't be family. Why are you family if you're giving orders to the housekeeper? I calmly respond to my mother-in-law, who's making no sense. Her face, which was pale just moments ago, is now brightly red. You! Who do you think you are? I'm your mother! This is no time for jokes. I've endured it. I've endured it for a long time, but I can't take it anymore. There's a limit to everything. And with my mother-in-law and husband's attitude, my patience finally crumbles. And what's more? What do you think you're treating your own grandchild as? A housekeeper? Treating your grandchild as a housekeeper? Cut it out already. As I get even closer to her face, my mother-in-law's face turns pale again. It's like a traffic light. How weak. Despite talking so high and mighty, just a little counterattack, and this is what happens. Her shallowness is disappointing. I quickly move my face up, narrowing my eyes in exasperation. My mother-in-law, who is now pale, trembles slightly. After seeing that, I shoot my gaze to another person. Now it's your turn. Ah, yes, my husband responds with a pitiful voice. I glare at him with a piercing gaze. Why are you treating your wife and daughter like housekeepers? What were you doing? I was messing with my phone. And then? I was drinking beer. You're using your wife and daughter being treated as housekeepers as an excuse to drink alcohol? What a great status you have. I'm sorry. What's the point of saying sorry now? Pig. When I shout at him with a fierce expression, my husband lets out a pitiful scream. And what does he do? He hides behind my mother-in-law and runs away. What is he doing? Feeling overwhelmed by his pitifulness, my head starts to ache and I say, Enough already. Let's get a divorce. Huh? What's that? My husband, who was hiding behind my mother-in-law, cautiously shows his face. It's like a parent turtle and a baby turtle. Divorce? What the hell is that? I'm divorcing you, and I won't set foot here ever again. My words left my mother-in-law in surprise. Huh? And my husband. Huh? Their mouths hung open in astonishment. In front of both of them, I shook a piece of paper. After Christmas break, let's go to the courthouse and fill out the divorce papers. My husband shook his head in a semi-troubled state. No, I don't want a divorce. You'll be troubled if I'm gone, won't you? Yeah. You appreciate having me, someone who will do anything for you? Yeah. You're against the divorce because it's convenient to have a housekeeper like me? Yeah. No, that's not it. You've fallen into my trap. Ugh. Just like before, it seems my husband let out a scream in response to my fierce expression. Well, whatever. I'll have to rely on a liar. We're getting a divorce. I've already informed my family. Agnes? Yes, Mommy. What's up? Are you ready? Yes. I've packed all my things. In response to my call, my daughter popped her face out and raised her bag in her hand. Along with Agnes' belongings, I hid my own bag and turned to my husband. Good question. We're going back to my parents' house. Huh? Hey, are you kidding? You're the one who's kidding. Huh? I'm not kidding or anything. What's not kidding is a husband who returns to his hometown to turn his wife and daughter into housekeepers. It's unacceptable. We'll discuss the divorce properly with a lawyer involved. That's it. I said what I had to say. I took my belongings and headed towards the entrance with Agnes. My husband persistently chased after us. Wait, you two can't live without me. His words made me come to a sudden stop. As I returned around slowly, my husband's movements also halted. After gazing at him intently, I asked, Have you forgotten? What are you talking about? I was originally more successful and earned more than you. I quit my job because of the pregnancy, but even back then, I made more money than you do now. His face turned pale at those words. Even though we worked at the same company, had he forgotten? What a conveniently selective memory. Despite the gap in my work history, I'll slowly start working again. My parents have offered to help me too. I intend to stay with my parents for a while. I'll gradually return to work. Even if I can't earn as much as before, I'll probably manage somehow. No, I'll make it work. Seeing my determination, my husband was now on the verge of tears. I'm sorry, I'll reflect on myself. I'll change, so please, let's not get a divorce. You had plenty of chances to change, but you wasted them all. It's too late for regrets. After saying just that, I reached for the doorknob. That's when it happened. Wait! His mother, who had been silent until then, called out to us. What now? Irritated, I turned around and saw her troubled expression. What is it? Frowning, I shouted at her, and his mother cried out. What will happen to my meals? I don't know. Shouting back defiantly, we finally left his parents' house. With our steps, my daughter and I headed to my parents' home. My parents welcomed us with smiles. Well, it was quite a challenge before Christmas, huh? My mother said while encouraging us to eat the turkey. My daughter was eating cake. Christmas should always be like this. It was truly a challenging Christmas. I hope we can have a more relaxed time next year. Afterward, negotiations with my husband, who continued to refuse a divorce, were difficult. However, considering the fact that our daughter rejected her father, we somehow reached an agreement. The child support, of course, would settle in a lump sum. There's no way I can trust that man. As a result, we had to sell the apartment we used to live in, and Erden, now my ex-husband, returned to his parents' house. My mom doesn't do anything. In fact, she's gotten worse. One day, I received a call from my ex-husband complaining and whining. Apparently, the neighbors had seen me being mistreated, and news of our divorce spread quickly through the grapevine in this countryside. As a result, my ex-mother-in-law is being looked down upon by the neighbors. Well, that's understandable. Even if it is a countryside, it's unacceptable to treat your daughter-in-law as a housemaid. It's extremely outdated. Because of that, my ex-mother-in-law, who has become increasingly reclusive at home, has become unruly and is treating her son like a servant. He, in turn, argues back, and they have heated arguments every day. He vented about it on the phone. Well, that's all fine and good, but once I confirmed the child support payment had been made, I intended to hang up the phone. You reap what you sow, I said coldly. I could imagine my husband on the other end of the line, on the verge of tears. Please, can't you help me even a little? I'm Agnes' father, and my mom is her grandmother. In response to his words, I smiled warmly, although he couldn't see it. I'm sorry, but I can't. What's with that way of talking? I'm really sorry. Hey! I can't go. Hey, I know I messed up. Are you an idiot? I yelled and hung up the phone. I kept laughing for a while afterward, unable to stop.